experience profound life changes with Plato's most powerful Stoic principles. Imagine this. You've just lost something you deeply cared about, a job, a relationship, or a dream you've been chasing for years. The ground beneath your feet feels like it's dissolving. Panic sets in, and you're consumed by a wave of questions. What did I do wrong? Why is this happening to me? How will I ever recover? Now, pause. What if I told you that the greatest philosopher of the ancient world, Plato himself, has left us principles so powerful? They can turn this crisis into a profound transformation. These principles are not just ancient ideas, they're tools for clarity, resilience, and unshakable peace, even in life's most chaotic storms. What if, right now, you could step into a mindset that embraces life's uncertainties not with fear, but with unwavering strength? The next few moments are going to be a journey, an exploration into Plato's most Stoic principles, a journey that might just change the way you see everything. But first, let me ask you a question. What is stopping you from living your life with complete freedom right now? Let's start by dismantling the first barrier, your relationship with control. Plato often spoke of logos, a guiding rational order within the universe. For Stoics, this idea evolved into the dichotomy of control, one of the most transformative tools of all. Plato's wisdom was clear. There are things within your power, and there are things beyond it. The only true disaster is confusing the two. Take a moment to reflect. How much energy do you waste worrying about the opinions of others, the outcomes of your plans, or the behavior of people who frustrate you? We spend so much of our lives trying to manipulate the uncontrollable. Plato, and later the Stoics, would tell us, you are fighting the wind. I once met someone, a young entrepreneur, who was devastated by a failed startup. He told me, I did everything right, but it all fell apart. When I asked him to list what he could control, he paused. After a long silence, he said, my decisions, my effort, and my attitude. That was it. His realization was liberating. His failure no longer defined him. Here's the paradox. When you let go of controlling the uncontrollable, you actually gain power over yourself. You free up energy to focus on what matters. Now, ask yourself, are you spending your energy on things you can change? Or are you letting the uncontrollable control you? Plato's second principle that aligns with Stoic thought is the concept of Eudaimonia, often translated as flourishing or the highest human good. To Plato, flourishing wasn't about external success. It was about aligning your soul with virtue. Virtue, for the Stoics, wasn't a lofty ideal. It was deeply practical. It meant living with courage, wisdom, temperance, and justice. Imagine someone insults you in public. Your first instinct is likely to defend yourself, maybe even lash out. But consider this: what would happen if, instead, you responded with calm dignity? Not because you're suppressing anger, but because you've decided that their words do not define your worth. That's virtue in action, wisdom guiding your response instead of impulse. Virtue is like a compass. No matter how wild the storm, keeps you aligned with what truly matters. And here's a secret. When you prioritize virtue over outcomes, you create a kind of invincibility. You realize that external events cannot touch the core of who you are. So, let me ask you, what virtues guide your actions? And are they strong enough to weather life's storms? One of the most profound ideas Plato shared was the metaphor of the cave. You've likely heard it. Prisoners chained in a dark cave mistake shadows on the wall for reality. One prisoner escapes, sees the sunlight, and realizes the truth. But when he returns to free the others, they resist. They don't want to leave the familiar comfort of their shadows. This metaphor is hauntingly relevant today. How many of us are chained to shadows, illusions of success, fleeting pleasures, or fears of judgment? We chase these shadows, mistaking them for what will bring us happiness. Plato's teaching is a wake-up call. True freedom is not found in chasing shadows. It's found in stepping into the light of understanding. But stepping into the light requires courage. It means questioning your assumptions, facing uncomfortable truths, and sometimes walking a path that others don't understand. Here's a challenge. What shadows are you still chasing? And what would it take for you to let them go? As we continue this journey into Plato's principles, remember, the wisdom we're exploring is not abstract philosophy. It's a blueprint for living a life of meaning, strength, and profound peace. Plato's teachings, combined with Stoic practice, are here to remind us of one powerful truth. Life's challenges are not here to break us. They are here to shape us. Before we dive deeper into how these ideas can transform every aspect of your life, from your relationships to your ambitions, let's pause and reflect. What would your life look like if you truly embraced the wisdom of what you can control, the virtues that guide you, and the courage to step out of the cave? Let's continue with an equally powerful question. What would it mean to live in harmony with the universe, rather than in conflict with it? Living in harmony with the universe, unveiling Plato's path to inner peace. When we think about harmony, it's easy to imagine a tranquil melody or a peaceful scene. But for Plato, harmony was far more profound. It was the alignment of the soul with the rational order of the universe. To him, living in harmony wasn't just desirable. It was essential for a meaningful life. But how do we achieve this harmony in a world that often feels chaotic, unpredictable, and unfair? This is where Plato's principles, infused with Stoic wisdom, shine brightest. Let's begin by revisiting a foundational idea. The universe operates on rational principles. Plato called this cosmos, a term that implies not just order but beauty, a kind of divine architecture. The Stoics extended this, teaching that our lives become harmonious when we align our will with this cosmic order. Now, imagine this, a river flowing steadily toward its destination. You can fight the current, exhausting yourself in a futile struggle, or you can learn to navigate with it, allowing its flow to guide you. The universe, Plato and the Stoics argue, is like that river. It's not here to crush us, but to carry us if we're willing to align ourselves with it. So, here's a question for you. Are you swimming with the current of life? Or are you exhausting yourself by fighting against it? To live in harmony with the universe, we must first embrace the concept of acceptance. This doesn't mean passive resignation or giving up on ambitions. Instead, it's about recognizing that life unfolds according to a greater order, one that we may not always understand. Consider this: you're stuck in traffic, late for an important meeting. Frustration bubbles up, and you start blaming everyone: bad drivers, city planners, even the universe itself. But here's a truth Plato and the Stoics would remind you of: the traffic is beyond your control. What is within your control is your response. Acceptance isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the power to say, "This is my reality right now, and I will face it with grace." One of the most powerful stories of acceptance comes from Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. Despite facing endless wars, betrayals, and personal losses, Marcus found peace by accepting that his role was to serve the greater good. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." What if we treated life's obstacles not as barriers, but as bridges? What if we asked ourselves, how can I grow from this moment? Next, Plato's principles guide us toward detachment. Detachment doesn't mean indifference or apathy. It's about freeing ourselves from the chains of excessive attachment to outcomes. Think of it like this: if you're climbing a mountain and your focus is only on reaching the summit, you might miss the beauty of the journey, the crisp air, the breathtaking views, the strength you're building with every step. Plato believed that true freedom comes when we let go of external validation and focus on internal growth. For the Stoics, this meant understanding that our happiness doesn't depend on what we achieve, but on who we become in the process. A modern example: think of an artist creating a masterpiece. If they're consumed by the need for praise or financial success, their creativity suffers. But if they detach from these external rewards and pour themselves fully into the act of creation, Their work flourishes, and so does their soul. Ask yourself this: what are you clinging to so tightly that it's robbing you of your freedom? Finally, living in harmony with the universe requires a profound trust, a trust that the cosmos, despite its complexities, is ultimately just and purposeful. This trust is not blind faith. It's a deeply rational conviction that every experience, every joy, and every challenge has a role to play in our growth. This doesn't mean life will always feel fair. Plato acknowledged the existence of suffering and injustice, but he also taught that the soul's journey transcends these temporary struggles. For Plato, the ultimate good, the form of the good, was like the sun illuminating all things, guiding us toward wisdom and understanding. The Stoics, echoing this idea, often reminded themselves that the universe is vast, and our individual troubles, while significant to us, are part of a much larger picture. Epictetus said, "Seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish for events to happen as they do, and you will have peace." This trust doesn't come easily. It requires us to face our fears, question our doubts, and surrender the illusion of control. But once we cultivate it, we discover a profound sense of peace, a peace that no external turmoil can shake. So, let me leave you with this question: what would it take for you to trust the universe completely, even in your darkest moments? As we conclude this part of the journey, reflect on what we've explored: acceptance, detachment, and trust. These are not just abstract ideas. They're keys to a life of harmony and resilience. But the journey doesn't end here. In the next part, we'll delve into the practical applications of these principles, how they can transform your relationships, ambitions, and daily choices, mastering the art of living, Plato's blueprint for daily resilience. Imagine waking up every morning with a sense of calm, clarity, and purpose. Life still throws its challenges at you: unexpected detours, difficult people, and moments of doubt, but you face them not with panic, but with poise. This isn't just a dream, it's the art of living, and Plato's wisdom offers a timeless blueprint for mastering it. The beauty of this art lies in its practicality. Plato and the Stoics weren't interested in abstract theories for their own sake. They sought to create principles that could guide us through the complexities of everyday life. Let's now explore how these ideas can transform the way we live, one moment at a time. First, let's talk about morning rituals. Plato believed in the power of beginnings. For him, the way we start our day sets the tone for everything that follows. The Stoics had a similar practice. Each morning, they would reflect on the challenges they might face and prepare their minds to meet them with wisdom and courage. What does this look like in practice? Could be as simple as taking 5 minutes to sit in silence, asking yourself, what is truly important today, and setting an intention to act with virtue. Or it could be journaling about what you can and cannot control, reminding yourself that your peace comes from within, not from external events. Here's a question to start your day. If today were the last day of your life, how would you want to live it? Another vital aspect of the art of living is how we handle our relationships. Plato emphasized that human connection is essential to our flourishing, but he also warned against losing ourselves in the opinions or expectations of others. The Stoics took this further, teaching that while we can love and care for others deeply, we must never place our happiness entirely in their hands. Why? Because people are imperfect. They will disappoint us, misunderstand us, and sometimes hurt us. True resilience in relationships comes from loving without attachment, offering kindness, patience, and understanding without demanding anything in return. Think about the last time someone upset you. Were you angry because of what they did, or because of your expectations of them? This distinction is crucial. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they cannot distinguish good from evil. Plato's wisdom invites us to approach such moments with compassion. Instead of reacting to others' flaws, we can choose to see them as opportunities to practice patience and forgiveness. Here's a challenge for you. How can you respond with love and understanding to someone who frustrates you today? Now let's consider ambition. Plato taught that true success isn't about accumulating wealth, power, or status. It's about aligning our actions with the highest good. The Stoics echoed this, reminding us that external achievements are fleeting, but the character we build lasts forever. This doesn't mean we shouldn't have goals or strive for excellence. On the contrary, Plato and the Stoics believed in pursuing greatness, but only when it serves a higher purpose. Ambition without virtue is empty. Imagine a business leader who achieves incredible financial success, but treats their employees poorly. Are they truly successful? Plato would argue no, because their actions are out of harmony with the good. Now imagine someone who works tirelessly to improve their community, even if they never achieve fame or fortune. According to Plato, this person is truly flourishing because they're living in alignment with virtue. Ask yourself, is your ambition driven by ego, or by a desire to contribute to something greater than yourself? Finally, let's talk about resilience. Life is unpredictable. No matter how carefully we plan, there will be moments of loss, failure, and disappointment. The art of living is not about avoiding these moments. It's about facing them with strength and grace. Plato's allegory of the chariot is a powerful metaphor for resilience. He described the soul as a chariot pulled by two horses, one representing our higher instincts, reason and virtue, and the other representing our lower impulses, desire and fear. The charioteer, our rational mind, must guide these forces in harmony to navigate life's challenges. When life throws us off balance, it's often because we've let our lower impulses take the reins. Resilience comes from stepping back, regaining control, and guiding ourselves back to our higher path. The Stoics offered practical tools for this. Pause before reacting. Take a deep breath and ask, what is the wisest response? Reframe challenges as opportunities for growth. Instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? Remember the impermanence of all things. The pain you feel now will pass, just as joy does. Here's a question to ponder when faced with adversity. Do you let it define you, or do you use it to refine you? As we close this exploration of Plato's blueprint for daily resilience, remember that the art of living isn't about perfection. It's about practice. Every moment is an opportunity to align yourself with wisdom, virtue, and harmony. But this journey doesn't end here. There's one final piece to explore, a deeper dive into how Plato's principles can help us find lasting peace and purpose in a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming. Finding the center, Plato's guide to inner peace and purpose. Picture yourself standing at the center of a storm. The winds rage, the sky darkens, and chaos swirls all around you. Yet, at your core, there is calm, a still point that remains untouched. This is the essence of inner peace. And for Plato, it begins with understanding your purpose. Purpose, in Plato's view, isn't about chasing fleeting goals or societal accolades. It's about aligning your soul with its true nature, seeking the good, the beautiful, and the just. This alignment is what allows us to find peace, no matter what storms life may bring. But how do we discover this center within ourselves? Let's explore Plato's timeless guidance. First, inner peace begins with self-knowledge. Plato famously declared, "Know thyself." To him, this wasn't just a philosophical exercise. It was a necessity for living a meaningful life. Think about it, how often do we act out of habit, fear, or societal pressure without truly understanding why? Plato believed that much of our suffering comes from this lack of self-awareness. When we don't know who we are or what truly matters to us, we become like a ship without a rudder, tossed around by every wave. The path to self-knowledge starts with asking deep, uncomfortable questions. What are my deepest values? What fears or desires are driving my decisions? Am I living in alignment with what I truly believe? Take a moment to reflect on this. If you stripped away all external expectations, Who would you be? Once we begin to know ourselves, the next step is cultivating simplicity. Plato warned against the distractions of excess. Too much wealth, too many possessions, too many desires. For him, simplicity wasn't about deprivation. It was about focusing on what truly matters. Imagine your mind as a garden. The more clutter you allow, unnecessary worries, endless distractions, and superficial pursuits, the harder it is for meaningful thoughts to grow. Simplifying your life clears the space for peace and purpose to take root. This might mean decluttering your physical space, setting boundaries with toxic relationships, or letting go of goals that don't align with your values. It's about learning to say no, not just to others, but to your own impulses. Here's a challenge. What can you simplify in your life today to create more space for what truly matters? Plato's Guide to Inner Peace also emphasizes the importance of meditation and reflection. For him, the examined life was the only life worth living. Regular moments of stillness allow us to reconnect with our inner selves and the larger order of the universe. The Stoics, inspired by Plato's teachings, practiced daily reflections. At the end of each day, they would ask themselves, "What did I do well today? Where did I fall short? How can I improve tomorrow?" This simple practice isn't just about self-improvement. It's about grounding yourself in the present moment and finding clarity amid life's noise. Try this tonight. Spend 5 minutes reflecting on your day. What did you learn about yourself? Finally, Plato's ultimate key to inner peace lies in living for something greater than yourself. For him, this meant striving to align with the form of the good, the highest ideal of truth, beauty, and justice. Modern life often pushes us toward individualism, urging us to prioritize personal success above all else. But Plato understood that true fulfillment comes from serving a greater purpose, whether it's contributing to your community, nurturing your relationships, or creating something that outlasts you. Consider the legacy of Socrates, Plato's teacher. He lived and died for his commitment to truth and virtue, refusing to compromise even when faced with death. His life reminds us that peace isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about standing firm in what you believe, even when it's difficult. Ask yourself this: what legacy do you want to leave behind? And how are you living it today? As we conclude this journey into Plato's principles, remember that inner peace and purpose aren't destinations. They are practices, daily choices to align with what truly matters, to simplify your life, and to live with intention and integrity. But before we part, let me leave you with one final, profound question. If your life were a dialogue written by Plato, what truth would it seek to uncover? Now, it's your turn to live that answer.